What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode number 3 of Park to Prem here with Lincoln City. Today, I thought we'd start on the profile of my assistant manager, a man who I didn't give enough care, love, or attention to yesterday. Peter Crouch. He's not that great at assistant manager, but it's Peter Crouch. You can't not want Peter Crouch when you have an opportunity to get him in. 43 years old, England international, and he, alongside Edgar Davids, who I can confirm has joined the club, provide a sprinkling, shall we say, of international experience. We've got a great five-a-side team that we're amassing for our staff. And, the good news is that with myself and Peter at the helm, we're not doing too badly. We are currently in 5th, but today's live comm is going to be against Wycombe Wanderers, who currently reside in 2nd. And although there is a little bit of a cushion to the teams behind us with 6 games left of the season, it's not a big cushion at all. It's so tight, actually, at the top of the table. You've got from Bradford, I guess you could extend it down to Leyton Orient to us, 5th to 13th, separated by a measly 8 points. So really, it's anyone's game. This is a must-win game for us. Our kind of recent form has been pretty good, but we have got some slightly tricky games on the horizon. You know, we've got Exeter, Rochdale who are top, Bradford down in 12th, and then Northampton, which of course was our first game in charge at the club. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Before we get into anything regarding results, let's talk about me, because I'm self-centered like that. The good news, everyone, we're currently studying our Continental A licence, so we are continuing to up our managerial profile. And you know what? Our attributes, they're not particularly great, but in terms of characteristics, I'm really stand out in some areas, and then there are certain areas I might neglect. The media might claim that I neglect them. I can't really argue with it. I was about to say I'll respectfully disagree. I definitely don't do enough of the media stuff, but it's just how I manage everyone. You can't make me go to press conferences, Football Manager. Anyway, since you were last here, we had a big moment. I say a big moment. It was just yesterday. It was a huge moment. Our first youth intake in charge of the club. I'm going to be honest, it's not a particularly exciting bunch. I think there is one player here who I'm going to sign, and it's going to be Rhys Fitzhugh, who, you know what, he's not bad, he's not incredible, he's either-footed, ambitious, he's only 15. Let's give him his new contract now. Rhys, come on in. Full-time, that's fine. Give him a 3-year deal, remove the bonuses and extensions. No, do not want to pay him more. 3 years, come on Rhys, be reasonable. There we go. Okay, so there you have it, everyone. We've locked down our best young prospect of the intake. He's not terrible. He's not that exciting, though. He's one of those where you kind of look at him and go, he's probably not going to make the first team, but we'll try. In terms of the rest of the team, you can see here, it's not a particularly exciting group. I guess Stride and Rowe, we should show a little bit of love to. Stride here is unambitious and looks pretty average at best. I mean, maybe he has good potential. And Terry Rowe, the goalkeeper, he's kind of okay, but not that great. He's got good mentals, I suppose. He's professional. I'm trying to find the positives. There's not that many to take. Ultimately, it's a very so-so youth intake, that there is no denying. Anyway, on the pitch since you were last here, we've played a whole host of games. Of course, yesterday, it was a somewhat unconvincing win against Doncaster, where we never really looked like losing, but because we only scored 1, it was never, put beyond doubt, I suppose. And over the course of the last 8 games, we've only won 4 of them, which is a little disappointing, but only 1 defeat in here. So anyway, we beat Donny 1-0, we then beat Oldham 1-0, and going into a game against managerless Bolton, I was feeling pretty optimistic. We were 7 games unbeaten at home. We're never going to lose to this team. They've not got mad. They're not winning. It's going to be fun. No, we lost 2-1. In this game, Josh Thomas got us a goal, which was nice to see. Unfortunately, it was a bit too little too late. They scored 2 set pieces. Our goalkeeper, to be fair, Cumming, did get an 8.0 in this game, so give him some credit. He definitely had a fair bit to do, and he did it pretty well. And so far, and I don't want to speak too prematurely here, obviously the man who we brought in as one of our first additions when we joined the club in January has looked pretty good. Although he's only kept 4 clean sheets in 13 games, he's averaging above a 7.0, which I think by all accounts in Football Manager, it means that he's doing pretty well in goal. We'll give him some credit. It's better than Dermot Mee ever did for us at Boston. Anyway, the next game we had was a draw against Wimbledon, a 3-3 draw, a crazily close game. You'd think that couldn't happen again. It did the very next game against Port Vale after a 10-day break. we went into this game and got off to a flyer, but it was kind of a sign of things to come. Quanta scored for us in the 3rd minute, but they replied almost immediately. And when I say almost immediately, it was literally the next highlight started with their kickoff from our goal. They went up the other end and scored. It was 1-1, not for very long, because then Bowie popped up for them, made it 2-1. And it wasn't until Paul Glatzel scored for us in the 28th minute with his first goal at the club that we were back level. Great to see Paul Glatzel get a goal, of course. He is listed as one of our key players. He looks fantastic on paper. Hasn't been putting in the performances on the pitch, but he did here. And well, as we got into the second half and time slipped away, we scored in the 87th minute. A weird goal, this one. The goalkeeper was given the own goal. I don't think it was going in until he tried to save it, and then it went in. So we were 3-2 up, 87 minutes gone. I turn on time wasting, just like at the start of the game. 1 minute later, they scored. Free man at the back post, slots it away, 3-3 it finishes. I was livid. 2 3-3 draws in a row was mad. The good news is the very next game we scored 3 again. This time it was enough. Yeah, you might notice a trend over this run of games. Not defending particularly well, but against Gillingham, an Oliver Finney penalty was the difference maker. And then against Solihull Moors, again, lots of goals going in our favour, but still conceding a couple. We beat them 4-2. Farl started what has been a nice little goal scoring run. He scored in the last 3 games, one of which was this next game against Stevenage. Away from home, a 3-0 win. Great little performance. Farl got us off to a flyer. In the second half, Yolo scored his first goal at Lincoln City, which put a big smile on my face. You know, to see him score the centre mid, he's not had a smooth transition necessarily to League Two. Frequently been bringing him on as a sub, giving him opportunities, and in this game, he got off his mark. And late on, Isaac got one in the 91st minute as well to cement the win. So 3 wins in a row. We went to Tranmere, or rather Tranmere went to Lincoln, I suppose, technically. It was at home. And Farl scored for us in the first kind of half. Unfortunately, after they had a man sent off, they scored in the 95th minute. I'm not going to show... I'm upset about it. I'm bitter. I'm not showing you the highlights of that one because I'm just very, very upset. In terms of general team news, one thing that is worth of note, I suppose, is the fact that I've managed to renew a fair few contracts. Lots of players had kind of contracts where I could trigger a year's extension, so I've exercised that in most cases. And all in all, when I look across the team now, we've got a squad that's starting to take shape slowly but surely. One thing that I've noticed since the latest update to Football Manager is that the average ratings are really low for players, even when you're winning games, even when you're doing well. For example, in our last 5 games, we've not lost. We've scored lots and lots of goals. And yes, we've not been great defensively, but you look across the average ratings, like it's kind of crazy how low some of them are. So hopefully that's going to be addressed in the not-so-distant future. You can see in our most recent game, Bajrami came in for Quanta just for a bit of rotation, but Quanta's going to return to the first team today. Elsewhere, Marky Cooper away on international duty with Northern Ireland. Good news for him is he's starting to develop physicals, everyone. And through a number of sub-appearances, I feel like he's now getting that required first-team football to develop. So let's remain cautiously optimistic that Marky Cooper's going to be a good player for us. But sadly today, he's not available. So Kane Ridley, who was kind of a bit of a mainstay of the first team before I came in, is going to be on the bench. You can see here, he'd played 10 games, got 1 assist. Let's be frank, when you look at this guy, he's not good enough for this level. He's just not good enough in general. So the fact that he was in the first team was always a concern. Now, yes, he is still in the first team technically because he's now on the bench, but he's fallen so far down the pecking order. That's kind of how things have been going with the additions we brought in. Elsewhere in terms of the new additions, Taylor Richards got a couple of goals in one of our recent games. He's looked very good. Naturally a centre mid. We've been training him out on the left wing. So far, I want to say so good. He's impressed me thus far out on the left-hand side. 3 goals, 2 assists, above a 7.02 rating. Considering it was a position he'd never really played before, it was great to see him hit the ground running there. He's going to be playing out on the left-hand side for us. Elsewhere in the team, I've kind of been sticking with how things were previously. I've not changed a great deal. You can see here, players starting to get little relationships between one another. You'll notice that the deep line playmaker, I have now switched to defend. That was off the back of this kind of run of games where we've just conceded a few too many. I made that change prior to the Stevenage game. And it would appear, albeit after a sample size of just 2 games, that just telling the deep line playmaker to stay back, having him on the defend duty, has just made a world of difference in terms of eliminating the risk of the counter-attack. One player who deserves a little bit of credit for their recent form is Josh Thomas, in on loan from Swansea. He has 3 goals and 1 assist in his last 5 games. I'm already seriously considering extending his loan. I know I talked last episode about wanting to sign him. Been a little spooked by that just because he is inconsistent and injury prone. But at this kind of level, he's showing his class. He's showing how good he is. And he at the moment is kind of the go-to striking option alongside Fal, which I don't know. That might be a little controversial. I feel like maybe Glatzel isn't going to be too happy to be moving down the pecking order. You can see, just looking at things here, Jamie Cumming is our key player, which is rather interesting. He's been pretty convincing so far, and hopefully he's going to be at his best today, because taking on Wycombe, we need a good result. Of course, we drew 3-3 against Port Vale. That was the game where we conceded late. We really could have closed the gap on them if we'd managed to beat them, but it wasn't to be. I'm looking over my shoulder thinking 4-point cushion should be nice, but that can vanish very, very quickly. And I'd much rather that the next live com episode be the playoff semi-finals rather than the final game of the league season, where there could be lots of drama and lots of action on the line. But anyway, let's get into today's game against Wycombe. A little bit of rotation needed, but it has been 2 weeks since we last played. So if anything, I think there's going to be a little bit of dust and rust for the players to get rid of as they take to the pitch today. You know, a few weeks of rest has been nice because the fixture congestion has been a little crazy. But at the same time, this isn't really the kind of game I would like after a big break. I feel like this is the kind of game taking on the team in second where you want to have a bit of a warm-up going into it. Sadly, we don't have that. And, well, we need to liven up quickly. Wycombe with a free header at the back post. Remains 0-0 for now, but that's the warning shot. Emmanuel to Gape. Can we put in a tackle here? Nice block by White. Centre mid doing some defensive duty out in the wide area. Bateman now with it. Emmanuel tries to switch it. Does switch it as well. Nice play. Cumming makes a rather standard save there. He didn't have a great deal of work to do. They are playing a narrow 4-1-2-1-2, and I don't know what to make of that because, of course, we play our 4-4-2, but in the instructions we play very narrow. I'm just wondering if I want to play a bit wider today. You know what? I'm going to make that change now. Normally, I like us to attack really narrowly, but actually today, let's focus the play down the wings. I wanted to get it into the wide area, really, really try and stretch the pitch. We have really athletic and quick players, and whilst, you know, overloading teams down the middle can be very good if they're not playing with a defensive mid or if they've only got a couple of centre mids, in this kind of game, I feel like there's going to be a lot of space in the wide area that we can make use of, and that is going to be, well, how we try and make things work here. Let's see how it plays out. Val caught in possession. Get the ball away, mate. I mean, look, he just runs. He just runs inside to Finney. Goes wide to Richards now. This is nice build-up play. This looks nice. Look at this space in the wide area. I mean, take your time, mate. Pick your pass. He does. And Olomola's there to head over. Better header needed on the end of that, but that's exactly what we want to see. That kind of situation there where Wycombe just don't have a man free to cover off our wing-backs or our wingers. Lots of time and space to put in the ball. You can see, looking at the stats for this game so far, we're not having too much of the ball, but we're having a lot of highlights. And well, it's Addons out here that playing at right back to dink it into the back post. Header, I think that was by Fal, unfortunately, just over the bar. And well, after a cagey first 10 minutes, that little adjustment, I want to say, has worked quite nicely in our favour, although we're still going to need to be at our best defensively here. Gape with the ball, gives it to Emmanuel. Gape again, dinks it in. Addons gets it away. That's an interesting technique of a pass there. Oh my word, that's not the ball to play. We've given ourselves some work to do here. March with the ball. Worthington, Bateman, Gape, March. They're passing it very nicely. You can see that they are second in the league. Emmanuel tries to get in the cross, blocked by Ruffin. But still more to be done. And I'll tell you what, we've bigged up Cumming. What has he done there? He's decided he's coming for the ball. And he shouldn't have come for it. This is it. Stop these puns. I bigged him up. I've said he's the best keeper since Dermot Mee. And then he goes and does this. Well, I think what's happened here is he doesn't think the attacker's going to get there. So he's kind of gone to where the ball is going to be. I mean, I can't even excuse it. Even if that's what's happened there, don't think you can really... There's no way to bail it out. He's had an absolute mare there. And away from home in a game that we knew was going to be tough, we have an individual error to kind of, I guess, blame for the fact that we're not in this game. Because realistically, the way this half has played out, I don't think we deserve to be a goal down here. I do want us to just play a little more patiently here. I think, and try and play the ball out from the back. We're not holding on to the ball very well, and against this kind of formation, I feel like, being a bit more patient, being a bit slower with our play, working the opportunities in the wide area might be a better approach. I say all that, after an hour, I need to make some changes because nothing's happening, but we'll let this highlight play out first because, well, if they score, then I'm going to make a few different changes to perhaps the ones I was considering. Lewis bringing it forward, skips past everyone, March hits it, good save by Cumming. Still not out of danger though. Finney gets it away. Olamola can't get on the end of that one. Right, 63 minutes gone. I'm going to bring in the cavalry. Yolo, come onto the pitch. Fowler's been bad today. Let's bring in Glatzel. He got a goal and then he's kind of slowed down again. But hopefully he's going to find his groove. Glatzel is too good not to be scoring goals for us. Really, really rate him as a forward. Maybe this is the kind of game where you can have a breakout moment, a breakout performance. Finney to whip in the ball. Where's Quanta's head? Finds Cons' head, actually, in the end, but unfortunately for us, it's gone over. 15 minutes left, and well, straight into another highlight. This is what we want to see. Creating opportunities. Ruffin with the ball. Tries to give it inside. I mean, that is the simplest pass in the world, and he's just misplaced it, unfortunately. Bit of defending perhaps needing to be done now. Emmanuel, their right back, trying to catch us out on the overlap. Bringing it forward. He does have a knock, though. Lewis... Back to Emmanuel. Edge of the box with Bateman then. Again, they're knocking the ball around really nicely and it's just... I mean, it's offside. I was about to say, it's just a really nice goal. Can't really argue with it. I'm going to change our wingers to be on attack here. And I want us... And this is going to be a bit of a change, actually, to what we were doing before. I want us to get the ball into the wide area very quickly here because I'm noticing their wing-backs are pushing very, very high up the pitch. And so I want us to distribute it to the flanks very quickly. Just kick it long. Try and pick out our wingers. And let's get in behind. Because I'm not going to press either. Because when we let Wycombe have the ball, they let their fullbacks come on. Like when you're playing a formation like this, your wingbacks have to go forward. You have to get some width out of them. Or just in having goal-hangery wingers. Hoping there might be a little bit of space to try and exploit. Charlie Wellens with the ball in. Bateman flicks on. March is there. Hits it over. I'll tell you what, they've had a lot of set-piece highlights that, well, we can only be grateful that they've missed. But unfortunately, we're going to succumb to a 1-0 defeat here. It's against a team second in the league, so I'm not going to kind of beat ourselves up too much about it. What I would say is we had plenty of chances. Yes, they weren't quite as good as perhaps Wycombe's, but... We need to score, right? That's the kind of an issue. And unfortunately, Fal is our kind of leading goal scorer. And on occasions where he doesn't turn up, we are in a bit of trouble. You can see with that result as well, we now just fall into that danger area where with 5 games left of the year, we are going to constantly be looking over our shoulders. And inevitably, there's going to be a lot of kind of change going on in terms of the status quo, in terms of league positions as things crack on. I did just notice a little inbox item about Boston United. Shall we go and see how they're getting on? I've not actually looked at them since they appointed their manager, which I don't think I covered in a video. So let's talk about it. They have signed Johnny Howson. Yes, former Norwich City man. I mean, continuing the Norwich trend that I started, I suppose. You can see here, Dronfield is still their captain. Their key player is apparently Callum Green, who was the Scottish centre mid who was really breaking into the first team as I left. They're currently top of the league, so fair play to Johnny. He's doing the work with them. They've got a couple of games in hand as well, so in a really, really good position. You would say, just looking at that, they should be getting promoted this year. Kind of funny that Quanta is still listed as having the highest average rating in the league. Or second highest with a 7.24. Hasn't quite matched that in his step up to League 2, but 3 goals in 11 games. He's done what he came here to do. But yeah, looking at things for Boston, they're going pretty strong. They are playing a very weird formation. Can't say I condone it in any way, but Liddell is playing up front for them. 21 games played since I'd left. They've won 12 of them. So they're going okay. I wouldn't say that's that incredible a form, but it's good to see them going strong. And whilst we are in a little playoff battle of our own, there is a weird silver lining that if we were, to miss out on the playoffs or lose in the playoffs or just miss out on promotion, we'll probably see Boston next year, which will be very, very interesting as kind of a fixture to keep your eye open for. I feel like that local derby that's not been played in a number of years because Lincoln and Boston haven't been in the same league for so long. It would add a bit of extra spice knowing that I'm the former manager of Boston playing against them. So maybe something to look forward to there if things don't go to plan. But the main thing for us is the board are very happy. We're achieving the minimum expectation of reaching the playoffs. Even with the little setback today, we still have control over our own destiny. In terms of when we'll be back, it may be for the final game of the season or the final couple of games of the season. It may be for the playoff semi-final, depending on how things play out. So keep your eyes open. Make sure you got the notification bell turned on. And of course, then you can't physically miss the episode. Anyway, that is all from me today. Thank you so much for watching as always, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. It is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.